in agriculture has been on the rise for years. A study recently came out where about $5 billion can be accounted in losses due to agriculture crime. And there's no better person to have here for this conversation that we are facing in our communities every single day than Sheriff Warnke of Merced County. Merced County is the fifth largest agriculture county in the nation and in the state. It is a leading force of agriculture communities, but it's also has a massive problem with crime that Sheriff is trying to get under control. Today, we're going to dive in a little bit deeper, see if there are some ways that growers and so much of the community can get more involved to try to help fight crime together. But today, we're going to dive a little bit deeper in with Sheriff Warnke. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invite.
Yeah. So how long have you been sheriff now?
I've been sheriff for almost 10 years. I've been with the agency. September will be 45.
I've been with Merced County your whole time?
Yes.
And were you born and raised in Merced County?
No, I was born in Cody, Wyoming, and then my mom left the sperm donor and brought me and my sister to Hayward,
Okay.
where she met and married my dad. You know, she was a cocktail waitress in a bowling alley, no joke, and she would take me and my sister there and lock up one of the booths, and that's where we spent the evening while she was trying to earn a living. And she met my dad, who was in a bowling league, and he married my mother because of me and my sister. So I got a dad out of the deal. So he raised me, and I actually signed my own adoption papers with him when I was 19.
Wow.
So yeah, so we moved to Hillmar, northern part of our county, in 1970.
It changed a lot now.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, back in those days, and we moved in 3 acres. It had a single wide trailer with a pull-out. I've got an RV right now that's bigger than the house we lived in, and it has changed immensely. When it first started, it wasn't a state highway; it was just Lander Avenue and Hillmar High School. And when I graduated high school, there was 90 students in the.
And now they probably have classes of 500 or 300.
Yeah, so it's boomed, if you can call it being boomed. But the traffic lights, the McDonald's, and I mean that was never even heard of back in the day when I was growing up there.
It was just dairies and farming all around you.
As a matter of fact, I would milk cows clear through until I graduated high school and started college and started working for Ford Mercury as a mechanic, and then put myself through the police academy when I was 20.
So where did you go to college then?
Modesto JC, Merced JC, those just the typical ones, yeah.
And then you did like a criminal justice background, or where did you do there? Or just straight general education?
General ed. I started in getting some criminal justice stuff and welding, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just things you can actually use on a daily basis, because you can educate yourself right out of a job. So, so that's what I did. I grew up in baling hay and bucking hay and milking cows, and that's what you did in Hillmar.
So then what made you join law enforcement?
I was in the 3rd grade in Newark on Christmas, and I was out front. My dad gave me a can of wax and said, "Here, go polish that bike." I think that was just code word for get your butt out of the house so I can be with your mom, So I was out front waxing the bike, and a black and white patrol car pulled up, and officer stepped out. Huge man. He was the only African-American officer in Newark at that time. And he says, "I new bicycle," and did a safety check on the bicycle. And I mean, I was just awestruck by this guy. And he asked me if I wanted to sit in the car, and he turned the lights and the siren and everything on. And, I was hooked, at that moment. And so when he drove off, my mom came out wanting to know what all the noise was about. And I just said, I want to be him. And from that day till now, this is all I've ever wanted to do.
Did you do I know the Explorers, right?
I did exploring with the sheriff's office, started in 1974. So if we count exploring years, it's been 50 years.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I did that, went through exploring, got my taste, did most of it with the sheriff's office. And then I did a short stint with Turlock Police Department as an explorer, and then put myself through the academy when I was 20 and put my applications in. And I had a chance run-in with the then undersheriff, who became sheriff, was Bill Amos. So I'm out at Lake Yosemite. Didn't know he was the undersheriff, and I had already completed academy, and I was driving a harrow bed, and we got to talking. We found out I had completed academy, and I grew up in Hillmar. He gives me a business card. He said, and he literally says, "You drive from here, go straight to the office, tell him I sent you, and get an application. You do not leave until you fill that application out." So,
and you started out on patrols then?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you didn't do the normal. I think what do a lot of people start in the jails?
Back before me, yes. We have right now we have custodial deputies and operational deputies of patrol, which encompasses everything that you have to have post certificate for. And custodial, we just got that classification done for our correctional bureau, and so it's upping their training. But before that deputy got hired, you started in a jail, and then you worked your way, and then you finally got out on the street. But now it's if you become a deputy sheriff, then you start with patrol and then do the investigating and stuff, or you can go to the custodial deputy. So
Did they make that change just to make the career path look a little bit more attractive to people?
I think they made that change in classification back in the day to save money because they were paying deputy sheriffs a higher wage or a high wage, if you can call it that. When I first became a deputy, my first full year's salary was $11,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they made correctional officers at a lower pay, and real early '80s, then the unions got together and they went for parity, and so for a couple of decades they were parity, and then started deviating now that operations is a little bit higher in pay than custodial because there's more training involved and education involved with that.
Mm. So do you guys have an Explorer program that you're trying to feed? Because I've heard it on your guys' Facebook. You guys have a great social media presence of trying to get information into the community. And the one thing that I hear, you cry for help the most is you need resources. You
Right.
can't sheriff and try to enforce things at the level that you want because you don't have.
We don't have the bodies.
Yeah.
We're down over 20 in operations, and we slowly bringing our custodial numbers back in, but it'll be 2 years before we're even back up to snuff if we continue the current hiring rate. But right now, we're losing them faster than I can hire them on the operations side. But we do have an Explorer post, and back in the early '90s, I revived the post exploring, and then we've got a strong presence now with our kids, and we're dealing now and working with his name's Alan Peterson. He's superintendent of a few of the school districts in Merced High School, Atwater High, and Livingston, and we're actually trying to get a program started to funnel interested students at a high school age on a career path with law enforcement. We've got a former lieutenant. He just retired from us and is working now full time for the school district and actually has a pilot program going. And it's been so successful. Alan and I were chatting, and he wants it to continue with other high schools. So hopefully we can get that. Now, if we'd have done that 10 years ago, we'd have a pretty good source right now for homegrown folks. But trying to get that, and as you well know, that law enforcement seems to have been beat up pretty much in the media. And so where there was people that were really desiring for a career in law enforcement, they look at that media and go, I don't think I want anything to do with that because of the BS. And it's exactly what it is. So, as far as the media is concerned, they're all fine and dandy till they need help. And then, we have to call the sheriff. Well, that kind of mockery, I'll call it, throughout history. You get one bad apple, and then every cop's that bad. No, you pick a profession, any profession, and you're going to find out that you just have bad people, no matter what. So the fortunate part is I would say 99.9% of all law enforcement officers are really good at what they do and are passionate about it.
Has that been the hardest part of getting young people into the careers? The media outlook of what what police do?
Yeah, I fully believe that. It doesn't help that the pay differences between counties, but it is an influence to the young people wanting to become law enforcement is they look up at the media. Now, we do have some solid-based individuals that don't care what the media says. That's their career path. And I was just sharing with Michelle this morning. She told me about a young man that I'd met. He turned 18 Saturday, and he came in yesterday and applied. He wants to work for the sheriff. Mm-hmm. And so come hell or high water, that young man's going to wear the brand. So he'll be on board. But that's the attitude I need. You really want to make a difference. Well, you can do it wearing this brand. You're not going to get rich. You never will, and they'll never get paid what they're worth. But you can actually go out and make a difference. So
But it's not just being, a deputized sheriff, right? There's a lot of jobs that are involved with you guys that if the media twisted a certain way, young people might not understand other opportunities there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my mom was a dispatcher for probably 10 years, over at the jails, whatever.
Yeah.
All of those things, worked her whole career in the sheriff's office doing admin type stuff. She didn't need a college degree to do those things. And
Right.
there's a lot of other jobs for people like that too, right?
We have in our agency on paper, I'm allotted over 400 employees. Okay, over 220 are probably sworn. That's from custodial, operations, now including animal services. They're sworn. Code enforcement are sworn. Dispatchers are sworn, and but you don't have to be, I'll call them gunslingers. You don't have to be a gunslinger if you want to be a part of this, because the entire function of the sheriff's office, everything that we do is to support the deputy on the street. Deputy makes a report, it's got to go tracking. There's people that write the reports and track all of that. Custodial, deputy makes an arrest, we got to put him somewhere. You got to go to court, deputy has to go to court. Everything that we do is a function, and that includes my job, is to make sure that the deputy on the street has everything he or she needs to get their job done. So there is a tremendous support system going on. So it's not just you see the deputy, but when the deputy hangs his badge and gun up for the day, it's still going on. It's like that duck on a water. You don't see all the other stuff that happens, but out of 450% of the agency is non-sworn, or roughly. So, and there's plenty of opportunities to come in and actually be a support person to make sure that that part gets done.
A big piece from what I've heard is it comes down to being able to pay competitively, be able to give benefits competitively. And that goes all the way from sheriffs to admin type people, dispatchers,
Correct.
everywhere in between. And the city council has a lot to do with that.
It's the Board of Supervisors.
Oh.
Okay. And the Board of Supervisors' job is they're the fiduciary. They're supposed to maintain a budget and be the fiduciary for that budget, and it runs through the CEO's office.
Mhm.
Okay, I have learned, getting more intimately involved, that there's a disconnect between the CEO's office and the supervisors. There is definitely, and I'm going to call it right out there, I'll call them shenanigans that go on at the CEO's office purposely mislead what's going on, and that's proof. I've seen the proof when they presented stuff to the supervisors. Verbally, we're talking, but yet you're signing something different. You know, the supervisor signed a 17% increase in pay for the CEO's office, didn't know it. Okay, that's underhanded way of doing business, and I called him out on it. And I'm at a point now where I'm not in this to make friends. And I'm sure not making any friends with that CEO's office. They are going in and they're taking care of themselves. They're the ones writing their own checks. And the supervisors are supposed to keep them in check, and it's not happening. So I've been very boisterous about that. And I will continue to be boisterous about that, because I'm not getting the resources I need to protect the citizens of the county I was elected to do. So when we talk about this, I can get very...
well, you have a massive county to take care of. I mean, 2,000 square miles, right?
Yes.
I mean, all the way to Pacheco Pass to Hillmar and Atwater, everywhere in between.
Up into the Snelling-LaGrange area and up to Mariposa County. So the county is fairly large, and the burden of safety falls in the sheriff's lap. That includes the cities. If the cities falter, the Constitution shows that the sheriff has to provide public safety for even the cities if they falter. And I've been called into this, I get people, I don't know how many people have my phone number, and I get calls all the time. And it's the sheriff's responsibility. The sheriff is the constitutional law enforcement authority within each county. That includes all the police chiefs, so when it comes down to it, the sheriff is the last one. And so when I'm being denied resources to make sure that the citizens that I'm sworn to protect aren't getting the coverage they need, I'm going to be very loud and vocal about it. And I don't care who I piss off. They're going to have to understand that I've got a job to do. The CEO of our county, he's a really good dude. He really is. I just don't think he's getting the right information either from the staff that he's got. But where I'm going with that is their attitude is they're there for themselves first. And then, no, they should be responsible to make sure that my budget works for my agency. Instead, they want to take away from my budget. They do that with all the county agencies. They've got to understand the difference between important and critical.
Hey, are you electrified by this podcast? Well, Valley 29 is here to help with any of your electrical needs, whether it be a small infrastructure build of homes, or maybe it's for your entire processing facility. Valley 29 Electrical is there to help. With years of experience here in the Valley, give the local experts the call. Call the Ag Center today. Is there a sector in the county government system that is getting more funds today? Their budgets keep increasing while yours are shrinking. Where's those dollars being spun to?
Wow. Open the door for that one, huh? CEO's office in 2 years increased their budget by 76%.
And how much was yours cut by?
Well, it hasn't been cut. I just, they won't give me the raises I need. If they were to, right now at the end of the fiscal, I'll be between $8 and $9 million in salary savings, and I can't touch it. They want me to turn that money back in so either they can spend it somewhere else or declare, okay, we're still good within our budget. And it's voodoo math for me. One of the supervisors at a town hall made a comment saying, well, if every agency within the county spent 100% of their budget, the county would be $70 million in debt.
Then why was it budgeted?
Yeah, exactly. Then why were we given that budget? Okay, my budget is like $86 million, but I've got custodial. You got to remember, I also have to feed inmates. Mm-hmm. That budget includes
includes the prison.
Yeah, it does. So, and the necessary things, just the medical costs for inmates is astronomical.
Well, now they're allowed to pretty much request whatever they want in prison, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes down to the budget, they just have to realize, but yet they're getting grant funding to build more libraries. Now, to me, that's a head scratcher. The people we have to deal with at our local library right next to the sheriff's office, we get called in because generally they're homeless. Mm-hmm. And they're watching porn on the computers. Yeah. And we say we can't allow that, but county council, oh, that's a First Amendment right. Excuse me, how about me? If I want to sit in my office and flip the porn channel on my computer, that's all right with you?
Wow.
Yeah. So this is the kind of insane logic that we keep dealing with. And they're more interested in protecting the rights of those that are violating the law than protecting the rights of the people that need the law. The bread and butter for Merced County is our agriculture. Plain and simple.
Yep.
And yet, they're the first ones getting crapped on by the county. Because I've got an ag investigator, but I'm 50% down, over 50% down in my investigative bureau. I need 17, 18 in there. I think I've got 9. I will never get rid of my ag detective. I'm committed, along with the DA, Nicole Silvera. We investigate that. But he's been tied up helping investigate homicides.
He's probably having to take on some patrols too.
Well, fortunately, we haven't had we had guys coming in on overtime. I respond to calls. On one yesterday, I was just happened to be down the street of burglary in progress. And deputy had to respond from Merced to the Winton area. So that's quite a chunk. Fortunately, it wasn't, they thought it was a break-in. But anyhow, I was the one responding. You see how I'm dressed. So fortunately, most people know who I am. But I'm taking calls. And, on Sunday, I had my lovely bride of 43 years and my grandson in the car. And I got a knucklehead floating around my neighborhood. I send a text to dispatch. Hey, got somebody near us. Sheriff, we got nobody to send. I'm not going to engage this guy with my wife and grandson with me. Mm-hmm. We have nobody to spend or send. We'll see if we can get Atwater PD to respond out there. That's how when even the sheriff calls in, Sheriff, we got nobody. It's very real. So, and now if it had been an actual emergency, I'm armed all the time. Mm-hmm. I'd have taken care of business, but guys just being suspicious. All right, let it go. Keep my bride and my grandson safe. And if I'd have been working, I'd have dealt with the guy by myself, which is my job.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how critical it's becoming.
I think I read somewhere that you're down to on clock like 3 squad cars running. Was that what it was?
We have a propensity right now, if on a graveyard shift, we have one shift right now that have got 6 deputies assigned to it.
And you're running doubles, right?
No.
2 in a car?
No, that was the option. If we get down to that point where we are, then there would be 3 cars patrolling 2,000 square miles, responding to emergencies only. I had a business owner, he's into pumps, irrigation pumps. And he and I were chatting yesterday, and he was telling me about all the stuff he's going, Sheriff, I can't even get anybody to come out now. Yeah, and I told him, I said, well, I even called, I can't get anybody. So it's that real. It's not like, oh, we're playing favorites. No, well, we can send somebody to the sheriff. Sheriff got told no by the dispatcher. Okay, so it's that real. It's something we have to face, and it's something that we can do. You run your own budget for your house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You say you want, okay, you got, we'll just use $100 for math. That's what your income is. You got $100 and you got, well, your roof is leaking. Okay. Transmission's going out in your car, but the kids are going, Dad, take us to Disneyland. What are you going to do?
Probably going to fix the roof leak first.
Yeah.
Disneyland goes fifth.
Yeah. Or at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the way I look at it, they're still supplying Disneyland trips to what we are non-essentials at the county level. They should be focused on the critical parts. Their county budget, they said, well, 76% of our budget goes to public safety, public protection. I think it was public protection. Break it down. Break down what they have listed under public protection. The sheriff is like 8th on the list. They got economic development, public defender, probation, just this list of stuff that comes under. Are you kidding? Well, I believe they're playing voodoo math. They're saying, oh, well, Merced County CEO's office supervisors, that way they can say, well, my gosh, our public safety is our number one concern. Look at how much of our budget is to it. But if you break down what they actually have for public protection, it's laughable. That's what they have listed down there. And then they'll tell people, I don't know what the sheriff's complaining about. 76% of our money goes to public protection. Well, if I just made that statement to you, you're thinking, well, Sheriff, you're getting a lot of that money.
There's a lot to be paid out.
But they're not paying the sheriff that money. They're paying it into economic development. They're paying things that have no business being under a public protection umbrella.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're asking for a lot of investment in like technology or things like that. It seems like you're asking for investment in bodies.
In bodies. The technology we have no choice. We have to have because just the times. But the bodies, we got to start paying deputies, a competitive wage, or we're going to keep losing them. I had a guy that, matter of fact, he just turned his letter in yesterday. And it breaks my heart. And he was near tears when he and I were talking about it. He's a former linebacker for the Oakland Raiders. Comes on board. Most kids, most deputies, they start in their 20s. Well, he starts in his 40s, and we gave him a shot. And he was really upset because he's got to feed his family.
Yeah.
So he's going to county north of us, an automatic increase in pay of $20,000.
Wow. Agriculture theft is constantly on the rise. If you're looking for a way to keep your equipment safe, or maybe even your wells and infrastructure that you've already built, reach out to the Ag Center today. Let's get you fitted out. Let's work with Northern State Steel to put infrastructure in place to keep tractors locked up at night and other equipment. Call the Ag Center today.
Yeah.
So is Merced County one of the lower paid sheriff's office then?
And they do a 7-county survey, and it seems that the CEO's office is all right with everybody else in the county, not their office, with everybody else in the county getting a C average. They'll take the median salary, and that's acceptable to them, except for them. If you go look at their salaries based upon the same 7-county survey, they're number one. So Houston, we have a problem, and I'm at my point. I don't know what else to do except start calling them out.
Do you see can you back that data behind, like you said, the county north? So I'm assuming it's Stanislaus County. Is there data showing that their crime rates have dropped down because they are able to keep staff?
I don't know if there is or isn't. I do know that they're able to keep deputies
Mm-hmm.
and that their supervisors are taking an active role. Stanislaus County and Modesto PD, they're in constant competition. They're right. They're in the same town. So when one agency gets a raise, they know that the other one's going to be okay. Then now they're going to be worried about losing cops. Well, Modesto PD received a substantial raise. The supervisors reached out to the union and says, "Hey, we're going to be working with you on this. So give us a minute." They went proactive on it. The way we do it here is nothing. I had one of the supervisors against employees and made a comment that, "Oh, we're not here for the retirees." Excuse me, that's why we worked so many years in this job, is to get to be retired.
Mm-hmm.
And makes that comment about not supporting the retirees. And I'm thinking, you know what, pal? And I supported him in his first run, and it was a doozy. And I'm going to start reevaluating what they're doing for our county as to who I'm going to support in our future. I'm looking out for the best interest of what I think for our people. And they make decisions based upon emotions. Oh, I'm angry with me, so I'm not going to give you anything. You know, it's like this last thing they did. They specifically excluded the undersheriff and me. Well, me, I don't care if I ever get another raise. I'm good. But because the undersheriff, because he's been vocal with me, so they're mad at him, so they're not going to give him a raise. But yet they've got it set up so if the judges get a raise, they get a raise. Automatic. No negotiating, no care about the budget, automatic. And yet they can pull that with other electeds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you and your undersheriff seem like you guys really fight together.
Yeah.
On this stage.
Yeah, we my bride, she says we compliment each other because he is so sharp. Intelligent wise, not the other way. You know, it's like peas and carrots here, you know.
he keeps you in line when you go a little reckless.
They call him the Sheriff Whisperer, and because I'm going for the throat, and he said no, you know, let's do this, and I get my staff, administration staff, but he's the one that says, you know what, this is what we're doing, this is what, all right, and then when I finally told him, I said, yeah, I can't, being nice is getting us nothing. They're kicking us in the teeth. He said, yeah, you're right. Go for it. That's when I went for it. And he stood right by my side, and I named the people involved. Then I get some people out there, Sheriff, I can't believe you named those two women. I can't believe you. Well, they're making $1 million decisions unchecked about my agency, and they want to remain anonymous. Not going to happen anymore. And I told the CEO that because he called me the next day. You know, I can't believe you made this personal. It's not personal. If I called their children ugly, that'd be personal. Okay, that's personal. But when I call them out for making $1 million decision on my agency, that's being held accountable. There's a difference between personal and accountable. You're making decisions on public funds to the law enforcement agency, public safety, and you think you're going to hide? Not anymore. So
they shouldn't be allowed to hide. I mean, it's public funds. A lot of them are elected positions.
Well, the CEO's office is not. They're appointed. The CEO is appointed by the board, and the CEO now hires and appoints his own. So you've got the CEO, 2 assistant CEOs, and 2 deputy CEOs. You got 5 people at the top of that food chain, okay? And they don't supervise anybody. Well, CEO supervises 2. Each one of the assistant CEOs supervises 1. And take a look at their salaries. Look it up. What's the name
Transparent
of that?
California.
There you go. Look up their salaries. Compare them to other counties. You can do that.
Yeah.
Take a look at it. And you go, what the heck? So, yeah, this is a fight that I've been going on, and I'm going to continue to go on. And as long as I'm drawing breath and my health stays good, I'm staying in. So
for in Merced County, you know, we have a office off the 59.
Yeah.
And I take Mission all the time, and you see all the dumping, the trash. You see the homeless. You have the is it the SAT? team,
Set.
set team
Yeah.
that focuses on homeless and community cleanup, things like that.
And I call it quality of life stuff. Well, right now the quality of life is being diminished by the homeless and the trash, and it seems to be unchecked. At the state level, it didn't make any difference to Governor Newsom on any of this until he became a victim. Now all of a sudden he's going to crack down on it. Well, he should have been thinking about the constituents in the state before that. But it's not acceptable. It should never be acceptable. And I've got one person, and matter of fact, the deputy that's leaving for Stanislaus County is the only deputy I have on that set team. And so we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do, because the sheriff's office, because Public Works, I can't or won't, don't know the difference here, but we've got 3 dump trailers, a skid steer. Matter of fact, Michael operates that skid steer for us. We got gunslingers going out picking up trash because nobody else in the county will do it.
You guys, I just saw on your Facebook, I think last month, you guys did like 18 tons of trash. And
that was just the one. They're constantly going out. They'll pick a day and go out. It's literally, I mean, I could have a 10-person thing in there and they'd be busy 8 hours a day every single day. And it's unreal on the crap that goes on. And just horrible conditions, but it's like pushing a rope. These folks don't want government help because they have rules with it. I had a guy that comes out in a wheelchair on a case. I had found him under the freeway and talking when he'd run into me before. So he knows my personality. And I asked him, why does he keep doing this? I'm being very gentle with the language here, but he said, I'm a damn grown man. I don't want to be told when I can go to bed. And I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to. But yet he lived under the bridge, under the freeway, rather than be told what to do. And he wasn't, other than not wanting a good place to, and he wasn't drug-induced, wheelchair, and former, I think he's a vet. Mm-hmm. He just didn't want anything to do with it. Nothing to do with people telling him what to do, so he'd much rather live under a bridge. Okay? The unfortunate part is every place these people land is private property or prohibited property. Mm-hmm. So it's just nonstop.
Even if you were able to get that team full, what would the plan be in place to try to help with these problems?
Well, getting back to making crime a crime again, mm-hmm. District Attorney Nicole Silvera, she's got a petition going around trying to get it to be on the ballot, because you're going to try and bypass the knuckleheads up in Sacramento because they will not want this. But to have the voters actually make crime, theft a crime again. If you get caught stealing a retail theft and your third one, it's a automatic felony and you do prison time. But the other one is to start making drug court again. At least then we had some accountability or enforcement that we could do with these individuals who are strung out. And that's the issues. Well, now there's no enforcement. It's not against the law to be under the influence. Yeah, it is. If you're under the influence and you're causing a problem, it's like saying it's not against the law if you're under the influence and driving a car. Yeah, it's your freedom to, get liquored up and go. No, it's not. Well, you're causing crimes to happen. And that's what needs to be dealt with. It needs to have consequences on this. We need to have a better prison system. The answer is shut down prisons. Why? At least they knew they were going to go to prison, but now they know there's no consequences. So, folks, if you don't have your CCW, get it. Okay, protect yourselves. And you don't need one in your home. Okay? And I will tell you this, if you got somebody in the middle of the night trying to break down your door, they're not there to sell you Girl Scout cookies. Don't talk to them. Don't argue with them. Just protect your family, whatever it is you got to do.
How quickly is Merced County right now on processing CCWs?
We're doing pretty well. It's the only thing we have no control over is how DOJ responds, because once you get live scanned,
mm-hmm. then DOJ does the background check.
Yeah, yep. And I will tell you, DOJ is not CCW friendly.
Yep.
They do not want you to have that, and they're trying to pass legislation now where you have to have a permit now to own a gun. And you have to pay a license fee to have a gun.
Yep, there's a maximum number on your license. You can't.
I'm talking about They're going to tax you, and you have to, and also have to report to insurance. They're trying to get this bill passed. To your homeowner's insurance, you have to fill out a statement that you have firearms in your house. And so, yeah. And folks, I'm going to tell you right now, it's none of the government's business what you have locked up in your house.
There's also some legislation too that I don't think it's passed yet, but with your CCW and say the gun is in your wife's name or something like that, and you draw to use it.
Yeah.
I believe that's a crime now.
They're trying to make it a crime. I can guarantee the sheriff from Merced County is not going to enforce that. That's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just because they're making it tougher and tougher and tougher for people to be law-abiding citizens, but yet the thugs are still out there committing the same crimes. But yet, if you, as a law-abiding citizen who want to remain law-abiding, are getting your hands tied. So there are just things that are unconstitutional. I will fight tooth and nail about it. And the unfortunate thing for our governor is the sheriffs have the authority, constitutional authority. Now remember, the governor has got authority, but he's not a peace officer. Sheriff is. There's a lot of difference with the authority from a peace officer than non.
Yeah, and then making us report it to our homeowners insurance things. I mean, the average person carrying with the CCW probably already has a secondary insurance policy. You know, I mean, I have a $2 million policy on, it's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
You know, $200 a year.
Yeah.
And it has you covered.
But they want, it's like ammo.
Yep. Background checks now.
On ammo.
I can't even,
we had one of our former deputies went to go buy shotgun shells because he's into trap shooting.
Yep.
And couldn't pass to get, a deputy sheriff couldn't pass to buy shotgun shells.
Yeah.
That's absurd to me.
Last time I went in, I couldn't buy because, I have my I have all the DOJ. I mean, I am a full blown, I have been checked by everyone.
Yeah.
And I can't go into Big Five and get a couple boxes of 9mm because there was some gun paperwork and it's registered to my old address and I haven't flipped over the new address because there's a whole form I need to fill out. And I'm like, I'm just not going to fill out the form because I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
It's going to take me an hour to fill out this form.
Right.
You can see my license is registered.
Yeah.
Every license I have is registered in here.
It's just making it tougher. And that's what they're hoping for the people to want to give up on it. Well, I'm telling you, don't give up on it. Fight back. Make it be known that we're not going to take this crap anymore. We can't keep taking this crap. And as long as we allow our legislators to do what they're doing, and we have some total idiots that are in the legislature making these stupid rules for law-abiding citizens. How about the rules to do something with the crooks? How about that? I guarantee the governor's taken care of. You know, it's funny that the governor, and he and I are really close, you can tell. Okay.
I'm sure the Zoom calls with all the sheriffs every year he does.
Oh, he's never been to a meeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he won't. He refuses to come to CSSA meetings.
Who does he send? Just one of his?
The attorney general will come, but he's got a script that he does, and he leaves. That's
and I'm
it.
sure you and Sheriff Youngblood and not Mims anymore now.
Yep. So when like the wage increase, okay, and before it officially came down, the wage increase, I took my bride and my grandson, three of us. Grandson, Papa, let's go to McDonald's. All right, easily. Through 3 meals out of McDonald's was $50 and some change.
Well, they got $20 minimum wage last week.
Yeah, well, guess what? We're not going anymore.
Yeah.
I could have bought 3 ribeye steaks for less than that and had dinner.
Yep.
So it just shot themselves in the foot. But, he's exempted. The governor's exempted his own businesses. And the Panera company that I think he's got some interest in, either through relationship or financial, has been exempted. It's like he's putting all these rules down. You know what they call that? It's called it tyranny.
Yep.
Okay, and that's exactly where it's going. And he keeps saying he doesn't want to run for president. What's the Spanish? El Toro Poo Poo? Bull. And he's going to run. And he screwed up San Francisco as mayor. He screwed up the state of California. And yet he wants to go into the nation, the capital. What do you think he would do with our nation if he's running the state like this? It's horrible. Then nobody'd be, at least now, if you really want to get out, you move to Wyoming or Texas
Idaho,
or something.
Wherever. Yeah.
But if he becomes president, this nation's screwed. Yeah. So, am I sugarcoating that enough for you as far as?
No, I think you're good. So when it comes to ag crime, I'm sure that it's been a massive problem in your area. Huge. Everywhere. I mean, from stolen equipment, I've heard guys getting their diesel tanks for storage cut open and steal as much as they can, but then they can't overload the truck and they let it flood an orchard.
Yep.
destroy everything.
It's the environmental impacts of the thefts, the environmental impacts of the illegal marijuana grows are huge. It's just and it goes on these people's properties, and it's horrible on too many levels. And the bread and butter for our farmers. And I don't know about you, but I like going to the grocery store and seeing food there. I mean, there's some places you can't. I mean, they can't, and that's what's going to happen. This is going to come down to, all right, where are we going to go with this? Because it becomes unsustainable for a farmer to keep doing this and taking the losses that they're taking. And basically, it's because the consequences. We catch the guy in progress, we can go book him. He'd be bailed out before the deputy's finished in the report.
Well, it all transcribes back to what you talked about a little bit earlier. Your own deputies trying to put food on the table for their families.
Yeah.
If we continue to allow agriculture crime to take place, the cost of food goes up with it, because now farms are going out of business because the fifth time that their tractor's been stolen, they can't report it to the insurance company again because they're going to get canceled.
Yeah.
And so it's becoming extremely difficult for agriculturalists to continue doing what they do, because we can't keep things unlocked, unsupervised, and we're, acreage everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the crime there. But the other crime to me is the regulations being put on the farmer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not sustainable. It can't be sustainable. So to making the farmer pay for fuel costs, now they have to turn in all their tractors and have to buy new ones now, get their subsidies.
Yeah, there's an airboard grant, but my family just did. I think it took 16 months to get the new tractor.
Yeah. Okay. What do you do in the meantime? They're thinking electric. Yeah. Okay. Say that to somebody in Iowa during a blizzard. Electric vehicles. There are some places that they're okay. I get it, but can you farm all day on an electric tractor?
No, the infrastructure costs behind that to build it for your farming operation is just not economical.
Yeah.
The amount of charging stations that you'd have to put in completely rural areas that probably already don't have PG&E pulled to an area.
Yeah.
PG&E's already backed up. We moved into a new office and we sat on a generator for 5 months waiting for PG&E to do one thing.
Yeah.
So now trying to do that across, 7,000 farms here.
Yeah, but they're not bashful about raising your rates, are they?
Nope.
They just raised them again. You got public utilities, because of the several billion-dollar lawsuit that they have to pay. Oh, okay, we have to pay the lawsuit. So who's paying for that? I knew when that lawsuit came out that we were going to end up paying, but there they are. Again, who's reaping the benefits? It's not the farmers. And I'll call it trickle down, trickle sideways. The fellow's got the pump company. Okay, if the farmer's going out of business, he's got nobody. I mean, so now it gets to him, then his employees. Then you've got welders on another side there that are backing those people up.
Now you affect tens of thousands of jobs
right
in a community that thrives on them.
Yeah, and it is absolutely necessary to have that.
Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of The Toast. As you just heard from the Sheriff of Merced County, that agriculture theft is constantly on the rise. If you're looking for a way to keep your equipment safe, or maybe even your wells and infrastructure that you've already built, reach out to the Ag Center today. Let's get you fitted out. Let's work with Northern State Steel to put infrastructure in place to keep tractors locked up at night and other equipment. Call the Ag Center today. So I saw some stuff with your the guy who runs your ag division.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about there was a cattle rancher, I believe, who was having a lot of hay stolen. He suggested it was like, what did he say? 2,000 ton or something had been stolen over the last few years from him. And these are coming in big bales. You need squeezes to move them. Like, it is a full-blown operation for this theft. And he had one idea that they've seen work in some areas of making it illegal to transport hay at night.
Yeah.
Just so that your sheriffs can now see, hey, there's hay in this truck. That's a city ordinance, right?
It'd be a county. If they make it a law, it could be a law that's enforceable. The other thing is that, and getting the agricultural education to our deputies. I work well with a cattle rancher here in Merced County, and he's actually hosting a training night in September, because our DA's office is putting on a training for the state for law enforcement for ag. And you and I chatting. There's other things. Back in the '80s when I was a patrol deputy, I thought it was the neatest idea. You can be assigned a serial number and you can use biodegradable paper. And when you're baling your hay, throw that in there. You can actually throw the serial number into it's part of the hay. And if it doesn't get stolen, that's fine. But if I go and hey, that's my
It's almost
hay.
like a supply chain tracking system.
Right. You can cut the bale open and find the serial numbers in there and actually say that that's not your hay. There's just ways to doing this that you should be able to do it. But like you say, you're dealing with 1,000-pound bale, but we've got to come up with other ways of helping to enforce that. But if I've got 3 deputies working the street at night.
And that's when most of the crime happens.
Yeah.
When they know you guys are short-staffed.
Right. It's back in the '80s. I remember working several because I was our first ag detective in the '80s, and going out working bee thefts. And a lot of people don't think twice about seeing beehives running down the highway during the daytime. Well, that's usually not the time they're moving them.
Yeah.
They got to move them at night because they are nighty-night time, and they got to make sure. But the lack of education on a lot of this, and that's what we're trying to do with the cattle rancher, and we're just getting the people educated on the different things to look for. When I was interviewing for the newest ag detective that our TJ now holds, guys come in, they grew up in the county, and Sheriff, I'm the right guy. I know all the farmers. All right, tell me 3 different kinds of hay that are grown in the county. There's more than one? Yeah. Okay. All right. What are the 2 main breeds of dairy cattle? Huh? Yeah. So they're patrolling around the area, but they don't have that base knowledge to even know what they're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes time to enforce something, they're not sure how to react, or livestock being loose, or I've had several. We had a whole bunch of Angus got out on Highway 59. It was dark and real black, and had all these cows and one bull. I said, get in front of that bull with your car and come in. Which one's the bull? I explained on the radio what to look for. Yeah. So just the basic knowledge that they should be having, and it's being lost. So
is there a way for growers and for producers to maybe take some proactive approaches? So it's hard to tell when spray rigs are getting stolen at night because we move them at night a lot of times in the summer for spraying.
Right.
Or if there's shakers being moved, a lot of times they're roading around Merced County.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to say that one's being stolen or is it roading to the next ranch. Do tracking systems work? Are you able to follow up on those tracking systems?
The tracking systems do work, and our current ag detective does have tracking systems out on, and it's been, I guess, successful. Having your own tracking system. Now, there's some places you can get GPS trackers on all of your equipment. The crooks are wise to that. They actually know where to look now.
Pull them quick.
Yeah, and they're doing that. The other thing is doing the OAN, the owner applied numbers. It helps us at least track the equipment. But to sit down, we collectively, that we as a group, when I say we, get law enforcement and the farmers under one roof, come up with different ideas without it becoming a shouting contest.
Mm-hmm.
Because your idea is important, and it's next thing you know, you're raising the elevation. Because I've been to those, and because I don't have a crystal ball, I can't tell you what is going to work 100% of the time, because what may work for me is not going to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
there has to be some type of deterrence. I've seen I forget who put it out, but there's a few deterrents for home burglaries. If you have an American flag in your front yard, you have a large dog that's barking, there's like a few things that deter crime. And I'm just trying to figure out what that is in the agriculture community for them to do. Is it having the fencing in place? Because they tend to just maybe run it over and keep going.
But if we have something in place that it's destroyed or something, at least we know something has happened.
Yeah.
But if you have an open field, it's kind of tough to tell. Being proactive, you're talking about that. It's going to come down to some of these farmers are going to be desperate enough that they're going to take matters into their own hand, and we're going to have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they were fearing for their life,
mm-hmm.
pay attention to the instructor. As long as they're fearing for their life, we want to make sure that they protect themselves because it's coming down to that. I remember when I first took office, people were asking me, "Well, Sheriff, why does a guy milking cows need a gun permit?" That's not a. Well, we have more armed robberies in these dairy barns than we do at jewelry stores. Literally, armed robberies and homicides in dairy barns.
Wow.
And so I'll tell you why. It's because every human has a right to protect themselves. So just because you're milking cows or jewelry store salesman, no one's more important than the other because you just don't know. It's like finding gold. You just don't know where you're going to find it. Well, same with crime. Dairy farms, middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, hardly anybody out, and they know bad guys are going to go in. That's happened. So protect yourselves. Do what you got to do to protect yourself. So
is surveillance investment on farming operations, does that tend to be a good thing to help you guys get photos and license plates, things like that?
It helps us after the fact.
Yeah.
Okay, but if we have nothing there, then we have nothing to go on. But if you invest in some good cameras, like my house, okay, I've got 13 cameras around my place. Every one of them's recording. They're doing their thing, and audio, everything. To include stuff in my house. Is that going to prevent something? No, but it'll help solve a crime later. Mm-hmm. So, and identify and so on. And that's what I'm thinking should be done at everybody's home. You have the cameras out there. There are cameras everywhere, and they're cheap now, relatively. So it would help. I don't know, coalition. I'll tell you, the Hillmar Farm Watch, they're very successful because of their communications. Okay, they reach out to. Something happened, and the Hillmar Farm Watch puts it out immediately, and so they're central communication, and they're tied in with Griff, our detective, Lieutenant Framstead he works that area, so they're constantly, and I'm on a few texting threads for neighborhood watches, and the communication is, to me, where it's at. If you see something, say something. If you think somebody's going to your neighbor's house, get a hold of your neighbor. If you don't know who your neighbor is, go meet him. Find out what's going on.
At this point, we have to almost take community action together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's just we're at a point now where we just don't have enough law enforcement. We really don't. And our prison systems are failing, and they're closing them down, and they're putting the burden back on the county. So there's just a whole host of stuff, and I can make left-hand turns during this conversation all over the place. So, yeah.
Hey, well, I appreciate you coming in today. I hope some of the guests have been able to see who you are and that you care about the community and the agriculture community all around Merced County. I know there's a lot of sheriffs like you in this valley that are fighting.
Yeah, fighting tooth and nail. I've been asked several times to run for a different office, and thanks for the vote of confidence. However, I can do more good for this county as the sheriff than I could in any other position ever held.
Yeah.
So when I'm done being sheriff, I'm done. I'll cook and go fishing, but I don't anticipate anything in my future. My bride, she tried to set me up. A friend was over, and she's actually my campaign secretary, and she says, treasurer, and she says, so Vern, if you were just take a dart and throw it at the calendar, when do you think you might want to retire? I looked at her and said, nice try. Yeah, so I don't have any plans to retire. My goal is to be carried out of my office in a box.
Wow.
Yeah, so if people are thinking and hearing rumors, because I actually had a guy stop me at Lowe's, Sheriff, I understand you're retiring. Where's that come out of? So no, it's not true. Ain't happening. So two things that got to happen is I die, or you get tired of me being your sheriff and you elect somebody else. So
well, thank you for coming in. Toast to you. I know it's 9 a.m. This is an early podcast, so no whiskey today, but a toast on our Dasani water.
Very good.
But hey, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
I hope for more support at the county level for you.
Get after the supervisors. They're the only ones that you can control, and make them understand that their job is to guarantee that all the agencies within the county succeed. And right now, public safety is at the forefront, needs to be dealt with. And without them getting into it or forcing the people with the checkbook, CEO's office, we're not going to see any changes. So hopefully we'll have some changes here pretty soon, but I can guarantee this, I'm not giving up. And I had one deputy stop me today and he said, Sheriff, he says, you were mistaken on one of your statements. I said, what's that? He says, you're not gonna be the last one. He says, I'll be with you. I thought, right on. And he told me that this morning, right when you picked me up. So that was an honor to have him actually, you're not gonna be the last one. And I think we got a bunch of them that are like that. They're not gonna be either. So, but they deserve more than what they're getting.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming down today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching The Toast. If you enjoy listening, like, subscribe, and comment. All those help us boost our audience so that more people can hear the messages and the stories that we have on this show. Now, if you know someone that might want to be a guest on The Toast, also DM us or email us, and let's see if we can work that out. Let's keep growing the agriculture community together.